Hi everyone, Shotzi here again. This is now the 10th installment of this portrait of actor Eric Dane, who I understand was very, very popular and sadly just passed away recently. As you know, if you've watched any of the earlier ones, I'm trying to do the portrait with somewhat of a Rembrandt style. I'm trying to apply paint or use the kind of colors that he would maybe have used. Now, at this stage of the game, I'm pretty satisfied that the main features are essentially in the correct positions. It's really now an issue of fine-tuning, getting some of the values a little more precise, a little more variation of values within certain parts, like his cheek, his jaw, the eyes. This eye on the right, his left eye was giving me some difficulty, but as is my philosophy, I just have to be patient and persist and keep at it, and I'll eventually get it where I want to get it. So move it all around. I'm using a fairly small detail brush, just trying to enhance some of the lights, make for a little more drama. I like to have a nice wide range between the lights and the darks to give a lot more wiggle room in between, so a lot more mid-tone options. Working all around his body, his neck, up to his ear, back down to his chest and neck. And I'll do that. I'll travel all over the place until I feel really satisfied. So I'm working in tight quarters. As you can see, it's not a very, very large painting. The canvas is actually 12 inches by 16 inches. So it's not very, very large, which means that making fine distinctions can be tricky, especially given that in this methodology, kind of an alla prima method, wet on wet, when I apply paint, it tends to blend to at least to some degree with the paint that's already down. So I have to understand exactly what I put down. It may not remain that way. It might be some mild shifting. Trying to get that skin texture. And clearly, as I've said in earlier installments, the light is coming from the left or his right. So that side of his face is much more lit up, where like the dark side of the moon, the dark side of his face is only getting a little bit of light and some reflected light. It might be coming off his jacket or any other surroundings. Constantly checking, how do things fit together? What's the dynamic? What's the relationship between his eye, his mouth, his ear? They're all connected, and they all have relative positions and relative values and relative colors. So I can use any one part of the painting to help me with a different part. That's kind of the essence of this methodology. So I keep moving around so much, is to try to continue to focus on the relationships between the different parts and how they fit together. Very fine detail brush right now. That's most of what I'll be doing, is just getting things a little more accurate, a little more blended in certain spots. So there's a greater sense of continuity and smoothness to his face. And the thing should really be in balance. Things like dark and light are relative values. So whether I have the painting is on the darker side or not, the relative relationship will always be the same between the different components. And that's my job, is to get those as accurate as I can. Here I'm just enhancing the background, make a little bit more of a solid dark. It's kind of a type of black that I've made out of umber brown and blue, a little bit of alizarin crimson in there, very small amount, and even a little bit of ivory black as well. Now again, coming for those little fine tunes, taking a millimeter off here, taking a millimeter off there. Just trying to get the shape of his very, very distinctive eyes, very narrow. Just getting things a little more connected. And recognizing that at a certain point, I may be able to make changes to the portrait, but I won't necessarily be able to improve it. And I'll be talking about that at other times, about stopping and how to deal with that and when things aren't perfect. I've said many times, my job is to persist. And the only way I really believe I won't get where I want to get is if I give up. If I don't stay the task, stay the course. So just little fine tunings there. Bring his jack up a little higher, make it a little bit more believable around the back of his neck. Didn't want the hair to be too gray. It was kind of more salt and pepper. See there, just looking where I can add little tiny bits, make a lighter section smaller or make it bigger, a little higher, a little bit lower. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get into those fine distinctions. At the same time, I'm very wary of trying to be exact and really, really precise. I think there's a loss of energy when one does that. And even though Rembrandt, his paintings were incredibly realistic and accurate, they also had a certain looseness to them. They could not be mistaken for photograph. You know, sometimes people have commented on my paintings and say, wow, that's amazing. It looks like a photograph. And well, part of me is flattered. I really don't want it to look like a photograph. I want it to look realistic and accurate, but still clearly a painting. So what I'm trying to do is to capture the essence of the character using paint and solving little problems all around. How do I represent this? How do I represent that? That's what I'm always kind of trying to do. Get a little more fine tuning down. These changes are very or barely noticeable. And that's true if we get further along in our painting. Every subsequent hour, I'll notice less and less change. It's really about that fine tuning. I'm going to actually add a little button to his shirt. Very, very simple. Little light circle with a dark ring around it. And that's basically all you have to do. And there's a button. Just trying to enhance the folds in the shirt and then get back to the face. So that is it. I'm going to call this done. Thank you for watching. And stay tuned. There will be more demonstrations of this nature coming soon. Take good care. Thanks. Bye-bye.